Is there somebody there? No? Yeah. So I like the use of an IS-based system, especially if you have a complicated, multifaceted project, right? You're building a high-rise building. That's not an easy thing that you're going to keep track of on a piece of paper. You're not going to keep track of it in an Excel spreadsheet. You know, if we're doing something relatively small, where we can keep track of it on an Excel spreadsheet, or we can, you know, sit there, do a network diagram and say, okay, we're on phase 3 of 5. But a lot of these really complicated projects, so if you're involved in any sort of new product development, it's massive. So you've got to have some sort of IS system that can help you. This will help create a more accurate resource assessment, the more likely the project can be completed on time. Humans will make mistakes. I hate to say it, we do make mistakes. We're also emotional, we're tied in. Maybe I'm sympathetic, you know, Ben didn't come in today, his kid is sick. I'm gonna push his workload back. Well, I just, you know, because I like Ben and he plays golf with me, we're buddies, I just pushed our whole project back, which is, it's fine. He's a good friend of mine. Well, not realizing that I just created a trickle-down effect. The IS system would say, hey, wait a minute, by pushing this guy's task back, you just messed up our whole timeline and now you created a negative slack situation. Maybe you need to have somebody else do what Ben's not doing today, or he can work from home or do something, right? It helps us to essentially be better accountable. So most common problem, over allocation, resources assigned to multiple tasks at the same time. So you might have somebody who's doing multiple things. I think so-and-so is a really good person. I'm gonna assign this task, this task, this task. Well, when you start doing that, things don't get done. I can tell you that right now. You know, well, I'm so focused on this task, I didn't know what task I was supposed to. We're generally task-oriented people. It's best to focus. There's very few people I've seen that can multitask properly, especially when you have multiple projects, and get them all done. It's very difficult, especially if you're wearing different hats in each of those different projects. And then conflicts results in increasing the overall length of the project in time. So if there's any issues in terms of conflicts, we can definitely have some issues there as well. So a little bit more on the IS systems with project management. They handle resource considerations within a project, create and maintain a list of the resources, so it have a master manifest. It stores availability, rates, cost of the resources. So if there's labor rates tied to something, or if raw materials, it will help me better budget, estimate. If our cost budget is changing for a project, maybe I put $1 million and we're at 980,000 and I'm contemplating overtime and I'm going, whew, we're at 980, we got $1 million, you know, we got $20,000 left and we're near that end zone, but we haven't quite entered in yet, you know, we're in that red zone. What do I need to do to get there? This is where we talk to the team and communication, and we tell the team, look, we're possibly about to be over budget on this. Can we work a little faster, or does anyone want to take an extra responsibility? Or if anyone's, maybe I got somebody over there going, I'm not completely busy, let me help you guys out, let's get this done. It can help assign resources, calculate the cost of those resources, assign the calendar, shoot calendar notes to everybody, keep the team communication and everybody synced up. And then resolve allocations and over allocations with the best case scenario, right? So what are the critical success factors for this chapter? Very easy. Resources can constrain the project, like we talked about in the beginning. What are some common resources, right? Time was our greatest one. We had people, we had equipment, we had money. Because the quantities of various types of resources to perform the project may be limited, and often they are. There are very few projects where I've seen, you know, I'm going to dump infinite amount of money into this, infinite amount of people, infinite amount of time. There's one project in particular recently that I can think of where we dumped a lot of money, we had a limited number of time, and we had a lot of resources to develop. Anybody think of what it might be? Think medical. Okay, I was going with COVID vaccine, but COVID test would be in there as well, which it was called Operation Warp Speed, where they said something like that might have taken 10 years, 15 years of research. We did in a very short amount of time. Why? We had to, right? People are going to die, or we don't know what's happening here, so we're like, we've got to do this. So, which is very interesting to me that we do have the capabilities when we start pushing, right? Some people worked 18, 19 hours a day. There were scientists working. We worked on a project with Merck, which is one of the vaccine manufacturers. they needed a containment mixing hood for vials where they were testing the original very short test periods where they're holding essentially the vials and mixing them up before shaking them up and administering them. And Merck was telling us, so like, don't worry about the cost, get it to us. And you know, they didn't tell us it was for COVID, and we're like, oh, okay, you know, it's 4 weeks to get after drawings, and they're like, how much to get drawings this afternoon, and how much to build a prototype by next week? That was where we kind of figured out what was going on. Okay, you guys need this for a greater good. So everybody worked together to get things done. It's necessary to estimate the types and quantities of resources required to perform each activity. Obviously, if sufficient resources are not available